Hello, everyone.
Hey.
How is the day going? I know that it's been a very busy day for most of us, and we are
Yeah.
probably tired now. But I think it's great for us to have this session, right, where we can talk about how we are doing work and share our experiences and learn from one another. So we are here today to talk about Lafia SDOH, a solution that has been built in from ideation to development to delivery, all in 30 days. I mean, this is very, very awesome, right? So, guys, how do you feel about this? How do you feel? Please tell me.
Yeah, you have to talk, right? And I mean, we have a lot of things to say, right? But I will answer you in three words. So,
Mhm.
one, we are excited and we are challenged. And I mean, in all right, the project was interesting.
That's great. That's
Excited,
great to
challenged, and
hear.
interesting. Love
Agreed.
it. Love it.
Agreed.
Is there any other person with a different experience?
Yeah. So many of you guys don't know that the project came at a risk, right? It was like a big swing that I took to say, you know what, August, was a very challenging time personally, professionally, and I was within the organization. And we've built many things. Like we had Bandage prior to this, and I say, you know what? Here are the teams that I've missed a lot, right? What does it look like for me to just get this team and just work with this team? Like that's really what is how we all started with me, right? For me, say, okay, this team, they've been with our clients for this longest time. I haven't had interfaces with them. The client has said exceptional things about you guys, like for the last 4 years. And I say, you know what? Let me just take a big swing and just have some fun with these guys, man. And it was a challenge. I wasn't sure how the team would be receptive to it because it was such an uncertain time. But man, I will tell you that every day since this last, I would say the last 21 days or so, I wake up every day like, "Oh, I can't wait till I talk to these guys, man." And I have to force myself to slow down and just enjoy where we are and not overthink what the future looks like. So I just want to first say thank you guys. So for me, it's just been really, really uplifting, to take a big swing in something and have people trust the partnership that you have with them and showing up. You guys show up and I show up. So I'm so grateful for that. That's my
Okay. Thanks, Maya, for that. So let's just take it a step back. We know a couple of people would definitely enjoy this piece. So let's allow them to get to meet this team. I'd like us to introduce ourselves. I'll start with myself. And it's very important to talk about your role, what role you played in building of this product. So for myself, I work here at ParallelScore as a product marketing manager and product manager, right? And working with this team has been very, very interesting. So I'll just say that for myself. Who wants to go next?
My name is Adebayo Daudu. I'm one of the co-founders at ParallelScore, where I sit as an advisory chair now primarily and do product leadership with Lafia. And it's been exciting to be here. I'm a software engineer by background in design. And this role here that I play as more of a product lead on Lafia.
Nice to meet you. Abiodun.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Biodun. I'm a senior software engineer here at ParallelScore. It has been exciting working on this project since conception. Has been great so far.
Thank you, Abiodun. Nice to meet you.
My name is Kozim. I am the servant leader of the team. So let me just call it that way. I'm the product manager. Yeah, I've been with the team for a couple of years now, and it is always interesting to work with the depth of talent that we have on the team. Very lean team, but bringing out a project that looks as if it's like 20 or 50 teams have just built. Building an AI in less than 30 days by just 3 engineers is massive, guys. So I have to give kudos to the team. So I'm just a product manager in summary. Thank you.
Thank you, cousin. Nice to meet you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Oluwatosin Idowu. I'm a senior software engineer here in ParallelScore.
So for my role, right, in the project, I think, I work closely with Abiodun as well, right? So during the research phase and also on the front end side of things, and I also contributed on the mobile side of things. Yeah, like we said earlier, right? The project has been interesting, challenging, and exciting at the same time. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Tosin. Mark David.
Hi for me. Good evening. My name is Mark David, software engineer, ParallelScore. And it was a privilege for me to join the team because I joined in like a bit later to work on the integrations, and it's been fun from there. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Mark David. Vanessa.
Everyone, I'm Vanessa, and I worked on the project as the product manager, and I'm responsible for the experience and the aesthetics of the product. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Vanessa. Princess.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Princess Inezi. I am the social media strategist here at ParallelScore. I got to that about the project mostly in the peak of time or when it was mostly done. So yeah, it was quite exciting. I got an experience of the product afterwards and on mobile, and I was fascinated, blown away really. So yeah, great to be here.
Thank you, Princess. I think now we can go deep dive into this podcast session, right? And my first question will go to you, Bio. And anyone in the team, really, why SDOH? Why pick SDOH? Was there anything interesting about it? Or there was a personal experience that you had? Why SDOH?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. I'll keep it short. So I think so I am a first generation Nigerian who migrated to the United States when I was 12 years old. And so now I'm a Nigerian American citizen. But you grow up and you didn't realize that the mere factor that I am where I am now has a lot to do with my economic background, my community, my educational level, and the fact that I came to the United States alone. Just that environment change totally changed my trajectory for where I am. And so when I discovered what SDOH is, I think about probably close to like 5 or 6 years ago when I finally discovered it, kind of like I was able to contextualize the unknown of the past. So, oh, wow, there is such a thing. There is such a reality. So I'm not cuckoo, you're not where you are because you just showed up there. A lot of things kind of edge in there. And if you know those things, what does it look like for you to be able to change the outcome in the future? You can't change the past, but you can at least let the past inform the future. So why SDOH? I think it matters. I learned that the United States particularly has a Healthy People 2030 program. Every 10 years, they kind of revise aggregate what the SDOH standard is across the globe, across the United States particularly. And I said, man, what does it look like in other countries? And why the United States or other countries can healthcare companies can aggregate this information. What does it look like for an individual? And I couldn't find any way to do it. I said, let's go tackle it out. But it's big, right? Because it's not just some things you can measure. But with the current framework that we've been able to test out with some of the questionnaires, I think we can start a foundation. And the learning part is the most exciting part for me right now to say, okay, well, I know there's people, as a Nigerian, there's always the devil, right? It's the spiritual things, right? So how do we measure those spiritual things with data? And if you can, that's the way that I look at it. How do you take those spiritual things and bring some contextual data to it and then empower people? And with the age of AI, it just seems like it's something that can be accelerated in a very new way. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you for that. That's really interesting. I know Nigeria, everything is either your village people or if you could get it. So yeah, it's good to know that things like that can be measured by AI. So going to the next question, and this is for you, Bio, and the PM of the product, Cousin. Can you give us a quick, brief overview of Lafia SDOH and what
I'll let
problems
Kwazim take that, and I'll chime in after.
Okay.
What is SDOH? So how will I describe? Let me say the SDOH Lafia is like an application that we built to address social, what it does is assess users, their clinical and social well-being, and identify the income, food insecurity, is how the factors influence their health outcomes. Then at the end of the day, it provides you with an actionable insight and a kind of a recommendation or support. And also, if you're asking what problem are we trying to solve, right? So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge the gap in healthcare by addressing the non-medical factors, which are SDOH, social determinants of health related, that impact patient health, then promoting preventive care and reducing chronic diseases risk. Because if you should prevent at the early stage, you tend to reduce high chronic diseases like cancer and the rest. And basically, our audiences are maybe the patients, the providers, and insurers, and health practitioners at large. So basically, that is what we are trying to solve in SDOH Lafia. Thank you.
Do you have anything to
Yeah, I
add?
think what's one thing that I do want to highlight is that so historically when you think about SDOH, right, there's this mostly is around this survey like people collect surveys about data. So it's easy to kind of almost think it's a data gathering exercise, right? And there's like a aggregated insight on top of that. So SDOH Lafia particularly is taking this existing infrastructure to enable the user to baseline in a conversational way. So we are leaning into the conversational AI to make it seem just like a companion in the conversational way to baseline where you are in terms of your health and other factors in your life, and then providing you insights, but not just providing you insight, but also connecting you to actionable insight as well that you can actually take action. So it's not enough for you to know where you are. It's important for us to help you see the delta, but also in the future help you connect you to those resources to actually improve the outcome, no matter which aspect of it of STH you wanna tackle. But the key part of it that differentiates us from other things is leaning into the AI to make it more conversational, more human-like, and our experience is tailored to be very human-friendly. Like this conversation is just a lot easier versus surveys.
Thanks. So we all know what SDOH is, right? For the sake of our audience, I'd like us to do a little bit of deep dive into the pillars, the factors that make up SDOH.
Okay, basically, the factors include housing, food insecurity, your education, then your income, then probably maybe your access to care. Now, you might be wondering that how does housing or income or food insecurity impact my health outcomes, right? Number one, you look at it from the angle of, let's say, for example, you don't have food, you are hungry. As a result of that, you might be having a kind of a mental depression thinking. And when you are thinking, sometimes inside yourself, you might be feeling uncomfortable and maybe tending to lead to maybe feeling you yourself, you think maybe you're having a kind of a malaria, whereas you're not having malaria. What you are suffering from is hunger. By the time they give you food, you discover that hunger will go away. It is not actually hunger. So the food insecurity part of it, which is one of the main pillars and key factors of SH, is what we're actually trying to address. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I want to also do is for me, I want to kind of share my screen a little bit and if I can kind of show so people can kind of contextualize this a bit. Can you see my screen?
It's loading. Yeah, yeah. I
Right.
can
So
see.
just to
Good.
kind of to help people kind of contextualize when we say social determinants of health, this is an image from the kff.org to kind of like give a sense of what those pillars are. So there's economic stability, neighborhood and physical environment, education, food, community and society and social context, and then healthcare systems as well. So helping people kind of in a conversational way to understand where they are in these areas. And it's not, this is not an exhaustive list, but at least the pillars are high level enough that you can kind of get an insight around what people are in terms of food, education, economic stabilities. And if you have other data, that other healthcare data of what the current reality is with the context of what these environmental factors are, then you can kind of start being able to start chipping away at some of those things a little bit. But I just wanted to kind of share that so people can be able to visualize what that actually means.
Okay, thank you, Bayo. That's great. So let's talk about the big one, our timeline. Why 30 days? I mean, that's a very tight timeline, right?
Mhm.
Right. So why go for 30 days? Bayo.
I can speak to this. One of the Hercules heels of ParallelScore historically, at least when in the early days, is that we overbuild. Right. And in August, when in August, I think around, I guess it was probably July, August, when I kind of like woke up and say, "Bye, listen, you can't do life the way you used to do life anymore. You can't overbuild." Like we've built an incredible suite of products at ParallelScore that is sitting on the shelf, and I'm sure if some people find out what we're sitting on in terms of research that we've done and product that we built, they'll probably want to slap us in the face, like, "What are you guys doing?" And the biggest thing is like allowing perfection to be the enemy of progress, right? Oftentimes, you might think you know, and crazy things that we advise our clients on this, but we don't eat our own dog poop, right? We can tell our client, just release, let's get the insight, do the market research. We do it for other people, but it's like because we're doing it for other people, mentally, you want yours to be perfect. And I was like, this is not the reality right now. For me, this 30 days is about thinking lean, right? What is the thing that I believe in? What does it look like? And actually lead with it, right? No, just, oh, don't just preach it. Practice what you preach, right? And it's interesting because it's so easy. I remember we were having the go no go conversation, like we're gonna go out, just push it out. I don't care what you just push it out, right? Because once you push it out and people start to use it, you start to see, okay, maybe we can do that. You can start prioritizing what next, right? And you will find synergy in what you already have planned versus what other things you would discover. But the 30 days is more about let's move fast. We are a startup, right? We're not we can't startup or not. You don't know your customer until they get to know you. And they're not going to know you until you give them something to enter your world with, right? And so releasing it was like, let's move fast, let's think lean. And I remember one particular instance was releasing without without a login in the beginning, right? Just release it. Let people use it. Let's keep it 10 minutes and let's test people use it. And you know what's interesting for me? The KPI was that how can we get my goal, how can we get first 10 users on the platform that is not us? So for me, it's like I'm sure you guys could probably realize how hard it is to get people to use the application. So if you overbuild early on and you don't give people a chance to get into it, then you just wasted time and resources, and you lose the momentum that you could use to strengthen the team that you're building with. So for me, the 30 days is really about the lean approach, lean methodology that many of us are familiar with, and it's us wearing that and then living it out in practice. And that's what it is.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I want to hear from the team's perspective though, because when I said go and it's I want to hear from what did you guys
Yeah.
think?
So just a follow up with what Bayo said. We 30 days was quite a tight deadline, right? It's tight, right? But the team itself, I think based on the problem we were trying to solve, and also the challenge that is being placed in front of us, right? It was interesting to us,
Mhm.
that 30 days was kind of slim, but we were just so I think what made us scale through was because we have a team that is determined, right? We just thought, okay, we have been given 30 days. Can we do it in a shorter time frame? And since it is SDOH with AI, for me personally, that's just like the fuel I need to, keep moving. AI, SDOH, okay, let's, get it done. So I think part of the things that, that we did as a team was each person was self motivated to just get this thing going. Let's solve this problem and all. So I was even shocked. I'm like, wait, so we actually did this in 30 days? Like, oh, I thought we spent about 2 months on this. So it's quite interesting, and it's something that if I think back now, I'm like, okay, this is something that I never thought, would happen. But Bio has this way of, boosting your morale, and you're also that ginger is there, like, okay, let's get this done, So, and here we are today.
That's good to hear. Anyone else?
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So just to add to that, right? The 30 days was challenging, like very, very challenging, right? But one of the key things that made us successful was the fact that we took it a step at a time. Just like Bio mentioned, ParallelScore, we have this what's it called? We have this policy of over engineering, right? So, but this time around, we really didn't over engineer, right? We were more focused on the value we are bringing to the table. So one, we didn't over engineer. So just like I said earlier, right? So another thing was that, okay, the commitment of the team. I think Kabiodun already mentioned that, like, the team was so committed that, oh, we must achieve this thing, right? We must make the company proud. We must, in fact, I think we did it in less than 30 days. I mean, the 30 days, we are just using that to, but I think we did it in less than 30 days. Within 2 weeks, we've already started pushing out features. And I think Bio was already getting interesting on the project. I mean, the project has already started making it interesting to him. And before we know it, we started adding more features, blah, 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 and here we are today. So one last thing that I think Abiodun didn't also mention was the fact that we had a lot of sleepless nights, right? Fine, our CEO used to say something, guys, don't code, think clean, don't code, no coding, blah, blah, blah. But behind every product, there is always a code, right? So we had sleepless nights, and also we were able to, delegate duties to one another, right? We divided the tasks amidst ourselves, even during the research phase. So we were able to do the research. After doing the research, we all come together, brainstorm on it, and before you know it, in less than 30 minutes, we've already finalized on what we are doing next, right? So all of those things put together also help us in, delivering this in less than 30 days. Thank you.
That just reminded me of something. I don't think a lot of people don't realize that to get to Lafia SDOH, we had many other product ideas. We did a exercise of different things we could do before we finally say, let's go for this one, right? And I think it's something might be interesting for people to know that, the journey itself didn't stop like just go to SD, let's just be this. Like we put ourselves, we just basically imagine just taking a blank sheet and say, hey, let's bring ideas down. We are all skilled in different areas, and then everyone had to present something, right? Everyone had to come up with ideas, and I think the AI and the healthcare and STH was like this glue that we all have synergy on, and that can also contribute to other things, ideas that we might have beyond the this current solution. I just wanted to highlight that a little bit.
I do agree with you. I do remember that we spent like a week and some days just on research, as in it was really interesting. And when I look at where we are today, right, we are almost we had about 4 or 6 ideas back then,
Mhm.
and almost everything is coming together right now. Like we
Yeah.
are almost at that point of having
Yeah.
these 6 different products, right?
Yeah.
So it's great to watch the team, the way we
Yeah.
started, how small we took it, and from there building
Yeah.
up. But this is really great. It's great to know. McDavid, do you have anything to share?
Okay, so on my end, like I said, I joined a bit late, but I could see the vibe on the team, the way they were all working together. And then when it was time for me to integrate it, because like Bio mentioned, there are like previous solutions that we over-engineered. And I'm a culprit of over-engineering, honestly. So one of those products I had to like kind of integrate into one of the previous products we have from SDOH. And it felt like everybody already knew what they were doing. Bio didn't have to come and reiterate. If there was a problem, everybody thought about the problem and fixed it themselves without even having to reach out to Bio or to Fumi. So like there's this cog. Everybody was like a separate cog in a machine, and everybody just knew what to do. Everybody was working seamlessly. And that really helped, let's say, man. Also, Kwazim was on our neck. It beats. Yeah. Yeah. Kwazim. I think Kwazim's ideals and Fumi's ideals kind of clashed in between because Fumi was coming from different perspective, Kwazim was coming from this different perspective. But then in the end, it all worked out fine and can see the product now.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so we've talked about the products, right? How we went about building, researching. I want us to talk about a bit. I think this question is mainly focusing and bio. What made you prioritize the features that you went to market with, right? Why did you pick these features? Why nothing else?
I think for me, the first thing is thinking about what is the goal, right? And for the data that I was trying to get from my personal side, and how do I convey that with the team was probably more of the challenge around, okay, we can build a full product, but people have ChatGPT, they have Google. So how do we make our interface simple? Start with the least amount of things in there. So simple UI, and it has to. If there's more than one UI on the go, it's too much already. But I think for me, what made it is I just looked at who is going to be using this essentially. That's what really helped me, and the fact that we didn't have customers on this one is like the most important thing is that how do we get people to first use the product and give us some kind of signal, right? If someone can come in and start, right, we give enough information, they can start, and that data can inform us around what we need to improve on. But I also thought about what would the so that's just one from one side, but I also thought about the team. What would the team be motivated to build that once someone uses it, it can kind of create, it can give us context of where to go next, right? And so if we're going to focus on too much UI, too many button here, next page, like you're going to get lost, too much delegation. Let's just all focus on one view. And this is the experience, focus on one customer experience. And if a customer can come in beyond what we're testing, it can kind of give us an insight whether or not we're building stuff. And to again, it's always that you have data around. We have this data on the market that I will lean into, but nothing makes up for someone actually coming to the platform giving you feedback ultimately. So there's some data insight in there, but there's also more about focus on who we're building for and what exactly we want to get out of it. And the data that we don't have is someone using it and saying, oh, I like it, but oh, I hate it because, or oh, I love it. Can you do XYZ? That's what I was looking for ultimately. So
Okay, thank you, Bayo, for that. So let's talk about launch, right? So
I
you
think I would
built.
like to add a thing to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so from the engineering angle, so how as the PM of the team, so how I prioritize feature development is when that idea, every time we have a review with Bayo, I know he always love it. Oh, I love this. We always we from the engineering angle, we always have that mindset that once we go into this demo, guys, expect another new feature. We always have that mindset because definitely it's going to say that, yeah, guys, do this, okay, this, So when we have this feature request, so I have, like I said earlier, I have 3 teams, which I know their depths. So what I do is I have classified my team into like 3 branches. I have somebody that focuses on the AI and the DevOps side, because one of the instructions Bayo gave us in the beginning was, I said, guys, I want everything to stay on this team. I don't want an outsider. So anything deployment, everything has to stay here. So I dedicated DevOps AI. Somebody should focus on that. Mobile app from my 3 team, mobile app UI, you have to focus on that. Then anything backend outside AI, somebody have to focus on that. So whenever we have a new feature request, so what we usually have to do is we usually have this a deliberation about the feature, like a system thinking approach on the feature to understand, the volatility of the feature, the complexity of the feature itself, that is the interconnected parts, then the ambiguity of the feature, that is to seek clarity of the feature itself, then so as to understand, the modal of it, that is the work that are not needed. So from there, we now say, okay, which one is AI related? Abiodun, you are picking AI. You pick AI. Tosin, anything mobile app or UI related, Tosin, please pick this up. Anything backend, Shayo, pick this up. So now, when I distribute it to them, they always know. The next thing is, guys, I need something in the next 24 hours. So they always communicate with that. This thing is ready. If it is not ready, let me know the state of things. So that is how we're able to move. I was able to prioritize and move so fast to ensure that we're able to meet deadline before every demo day with that buyer here, which is our stakeholder. Yeah.
And I think it's also important to highlight that I was conscious. I tried my best to, like, when we're having team, it's always a hard thing to lead a team when you don't want to make sure you don't want the team to feel like they must do versus like, here's a list of here's a shopping list. Like, pick the thing that benefits us all versus what I want. And I know there was a few times when I had to kind of pause and say, guys, we could do all these things, but please go inside and come back with your decision ultimately, because I think it was important. And for me, I was thinking in myself, like, guys, I don't want to pressure our team, but I want us to know that this is a serious time, and how we move and how lean and fast we move can make or break our momentum ultimately. And I'm so happy for Kwazim, yourself, and the team to just kind of don't just take my word for it, do the other side of it, the collaboration, the system thinking, which is the bigger part many engineering team miss oftentimes outside of ParallelScore. So I'm so grateful for that, for sure. I am.
Thanks, Bayo. Tosin, you want to say something?
Yeah, so there is also a culture in ParallelScore, right, that contributes mostly to our success, which is in terms of micromanagement, right? So both the CEO, the project managers, the product owner, everyone always coordinates their team in the sense of not micromanaging them. When you are micromanaging your team and you are mounting pressure on them, most times some team member will actually lose interest in the project. So this project particularly, despite the fact that we have the deadline of coming out with something within 30 days, no one was actually micromanaged. So, and that also motivated the team in pushing harder so as to deliver this thing out on time.
So let's talk about factors that could make or break things. And I think I want to talk about money here, right? So when we talk about costs, it takes money to run a team, right? So how did you guys think through the cost? I know some of the tools you are using, you paid for it, right? So let's talk about costs. Fazim, you want to tell us anything around that?
Yes, I think I would have loved Abiodun to pick that because he oversees the infrastructure cost from the back end, from the AI angle, and some of the interconnected parts, that we build together to have this complete solution. So, Abiodun, can you pick that?
Thank you, cousin. Yeah, so cost was actually a major issue for us, right? Because the foremost thing on our mind is how can we achieve more with less, right?
Mhm.
And we so the first thing we had to think through is okay, the infrastructure. How do we manage it, right? And what platform do we use? So we were kind of thinking, okay, let's have like some server, a server for this, a server for that, a server for this. But in the long run, we looked at the cost and it was astronomical, right? It was so huge. I'm like, okay, what if we keep running this for the next 12 months? What will the cost look like? And it was running to thousands of dollars, right? So we had to come back and sit down. Okay, why can't we deploy in well, let's use like a Kubernetes, just to orchestrate the whole thing up. Okay, let's set up the DB in a different way that is cost effective, and we are still able to manage it. Now, the big elephant in the room was the AI cost. It
Mhm.
was I couldn't just even imagine if we had not done some things that we did to actually drive down the cost. So when we first started, each call was costing about $3, or so. And so we just thought of it. Okay, what if we have about 1 million users, talking to the AI agent the same time and doing, and when we punched the calculator, it was running to hundreds of thousands.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, how can we pull this off? This is so huge. Okay, what can we do? Okay, let's try to leverage some other tools and services to drive down the cost. We looked at the model we currently use, and we tried to do a bit of comparison with some other models. Okay, um, we switching to a cheaper model, does it affect the user experience in a way or the other? So we actually ran a lot of simulations on that. Okay, let's look the quality of some summary that is coming out from each conversations. Okay, let's look at the analysis, and everything. So at the end of the day, we built the second version of the conversational agent, which drives down the cost by, I think, about 97% down
Wow.
in cost. So now a
That's
call that
good.
was on a normal day cost us about $3. Now it's costing us less than $1. In fact, less than 50 cents.
Wow.
So,
Oh, wow.
so those were the things that we just had to do to make sure that we bring down the cost. And for us, it's not just about bringing down the cost. It's about we building the system in a kind of way such that more people can use, right? Because of course, if cost is high, the premium that people might pay to so high and everything. But now that we've tried all we can to bring the cost low, it gives more where people room to be able to use it.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
it's kind of cost effective for
Effective.
people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those
Thank
are the
you.
things
Thank
we
you
had to.
so much, Abiodun. That's a very great one. So we don't have much time, so I want us to move pretty quickly. So let's keep our responses as short as possible. So I want us to talk about going to market, right? Launching the actual product. I know on my own side for marketing, having to do research, sending out surveys, doing a lot of social media marketing to set the pace for our audience on that end. Um, I want us to talk a bit around where we launched and why we chose to launch there. And I want Bayo to talk about this.
So so launching is one of those things that I have this kind of dilemma right now about between overspending for marketing versus reaching out to people that leveraging your inner network itself, right? I think that in the first version, right, people don't know you. If you just reach a cold call them. And so we all challenge each other to reach out to 10 people that you know and say, hey, test these things out, right? And so what I did was I had a collection of people within my WhatsApp group, and I curated a message to say, hey, this give them context and set timeline. Hey, I need this to be done by this time. This is the goal. And I shared it with them, and some people took actions on that. And it was interesting. This next morning, the first call I got was from a friend of mine in UK, busy, successful entrepreneur. And the first thing I got from each one is like, man, I love how simple this conversation is with this thing. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. But also they also give some feedback as well. But the go to market for me was that we can always spend money, invest that, but we needed that first initial feedback from real users that can give us honest truth, right? And they will receive where we are in the stage that we're in and to be able to potentially build alongside with us. But then there's a team like you for me and the rest of the folks. You guys will take it once we get the initial customers. The second thing is that I also sent this to, again, I leverage my network. I leaning to start with the network. Then from there, create a system around that. We already have a system of marketing within the company. We can funnel in there, but the network is the first start, at least for the first 100 customers.
That's a great one. I remember having some calls myself, right? People asking, oh wow, this tool that ParallelScore has launched is really great. What's the way forward and whatnot. And there were great feedbacks as well. So let's talk about some of the feedbacks that we had and how we prioritized implementation of some of these features. So I remember a couple of people having issues with talking to the AI, right? There's still a lot of bias, right, around AI generally. So we had people that were not willing to touch it, fearing something else going on. And then we had people talking about opportunities to know more, things that they could get out of it. So let's talk about some of these features that we worked on, some of these feedbacks that we worked on.
Okay. On some of the feedback that we worked on, we actually have a lot of feedbacks. Number one is around the agents not being responsive. Most especially, that is the major feedback that we got, somebody will try to speak to the agents and the agents will not be available. So what we identified on our side is that we need to scale the number of AI agents we have. We were using one agent at that particular time. We need to spin up more so as to be able to be available and respond to users whenever they try to use the application. And as a result of that, since we implemented that, it has actually helped us a lot, and we've never had that complaint of agent not available whenever they want to use the application. We worked in a lot of feedback, but this is actually in order to keep the time short. This is the major one that I think has a major impact on the product in general.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. So let's talk about integrations, right? I'd like us to talk about integrations because some integrations came after the initial launch. Like we talked about products that we have on the shelf, great products that we have on the shelf, and kind of like building a new narrative for this product. So I'm going to give it to you and McDavid, you Bayo and McDavid. I'd like you guys to talk more on that.
Yeah, probably. I'll keep mine short, but like maybe McDavid can probably talk. I'm more interested in McDavid's jumping in and making it happen. What was that? What was the experience like for him? And in this new approach of simplifying, especially when we are trying to leverage an existing infrastructure, but we want to kind of like without overcomplicate. What was this approach in not over engineering to be able to move fast. So I'm interested around how we approach that without over-engineering it during the integration side.
Yeah, on my own end, it was more like the focus was streamlined. Like you knew what you're coming in to do, exactly what you needed to do to get it, and you already have the tools to get the job done. So there was no thinking about, okay, what if the patient will want it this way or the users will want it that way? We knew, okay, this is what we're expecting. This is what we want them to test out first. So this time we're not thinking for the users, we're just building and let the users give us feedback. Then we can know what if there's any what we need to work on again. And it worked really fine. I was able to deliver what I was supposed to deliver like faster than previously because I already had an idea of what I wanted to work on.
This is very helpful. One thing I do want to highlight is that many people don't know, might not understand when we talk about SDOH and the integration aspect of it. Besides the engineering side, we also try to leverage a health standard called FHIR to contextualize. So FHIR already defined what the data standard should be, the data model should be like for the kind of data we should be extracting out. So while a conversation can be very, very long and fluid in a way, extracting out the right type of data that we need to contextualize within a standard on FHIR was also helpful. And that was an intentional choice. We already have a team that's skilled around adopting and implementing FHIR as a standard. Also, it made life a lot easier. You don't have to think about, oh, what does patient mean? What does name means? What does organization mean? What does a summary mean? What does a note mean? Those things are predefined, and why it might not be a perfect, like full exhaustive implementation, but at least there's a standard and a framework that we're able to implement with to make things a lot easier. So everyone can go to the same reference document without overthinking what the standard is. And it's a globally adopted standard as well. So I think that's probably also helpful.
We are almost at the end of this session, and I'll just like us to talk a bit about what's next for Lafia SDOH. Yeah.
I would take this one happily. Obviously we have so first I do want to highlight something. I wish we had more time on this call to go through the design that Vanessa spent some time on. Because I want to show the design to the public and then kind of know how excited we are, but we're not building it yet for obvious reasons. It's interesting to see the difference. Why oftentimes I love design, and you can see how a certain design choices also enhances the experience. But right, we're at a point that we're saying we have this design, but we're not doing it because we want to kind of deep down on our customers' pain point. And that trade-off is a real thing, right? It's a real thing, right? And I think that maybe on a different conversation, we can probably kind of go deep dive on just focus on the design because I love design. I know how that can speak to psychology of how people interact with your product itself. We went with a very lean approach right now, which is very succinct. But how does design actually enhances that? And it would be great to see what that looks like. So in terms of what next, right? I think for me is really we're working through some partnerships right now with an insurance organization to leverage that, and then also another health organization to license our product right now. And these are things that I couldn't have imagined if we didn't put it out a few months ago. There's no way I could have imagined that. But so what's next is trying to solidify this partnership real quick. And it's not a partnership of like we got this done. This is where the win is. Like this is a partnership like let's get started on strengthening what the future can look like together, and while we both win and drive the impact that everybody wants. The second thing is there's some features in the app there on the platform that we believe we hypothesize will be valuable to users, right? But we want to get more users on the platform. So I think the best thing right now is that we want to get to 1,000 users within the next 60 days, right? If we can get to 1,000 users through partnership or through direct reach outs, can kind of give us a better insight around what the customer experience looks like. I do want to highlight one thing that, when you're building an application like this, the way the value when you can see the maximum value is on the business side, the B2B side. How can we empower the B2B side? But our obsession is with the customer side, the end user side. And so we want to be really, really, really good around the customer side to make sure that the experience is really, really great while creating value for the B2B we want to be a great conduit for the B2B side, but we want to be very, very obsessive around how our experiences helping people to understand their current health standard lifestyle and driving impact for the better outcome ultimately. So that's what is next. The design is might be design changes, better integration with different applications, on-device application, the infrastructure, like a personalized personal infrastructure. So imagine in the future when Lafia becomes like a portal that collects all of your data, help you analyzes it, give you insight, give you a plan, but then is deployed in your own private infrastructure, right? You know, everyone talked about AWS, Azure, but it's almost the technical people. How do we make that infrastructure more personalized for people in a way we can use Lafia to deploy that? And the reason why for that is for privacy and security, right? We don't want to own your data. We don't want to manage. We want to facilitate that, but we want it to be secure for you and give you the best solution and help you. You have the better direct access, and we get consent with the permission. We can do certain things within your infrastructure. But that's what the future that we see in the long term. In the immediate term, secure our partnership and get some of this user to use the app and give us better insights over time. That's what I see.
Okay, great. So we're on top
What
of
do you
the
want to
hour.
see?
What do I want to see? What I want to see right now is I'll say I want to be able to talk to a doctor. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to be able to I want to be able to talk to the AI about the challenges I'm having and then follow up with a doctor. That's just my own personal.
All right, I want to hear what do you want to see, Kwazim? And we'll go around.
Well, from my side, I want the AI, I want a future whereby the AI will be able to collect my data based on my steps, my pulse rate, my heartbeat, my body reactions, and tell me and call me and say, hey, cousin, you need to go see a doctor. If failure to see a doctor, it might lead to so types of disease. That is the future I'm looking at the AI right now. I want to see. Yeah.
Got it. Kind of like what my wife does to me. Labaya, you're not getting enough sleep. You go and see your doctor. Get a baseline. Go and get a checkup. All right, I like that. All right, Tosin, let's go around. Tosin Biodun, and then what you call Vanessa, and then you close out with Mac David. What do you want to see next?
So for me, I want to see a time where I can talk to the AI, right? And if there is any help I need, so it must not necessarily be a doctor, right? If there is any help I need, okay, so let's say I have transportation issues, right? The AI should be able to refer me to like a company that can help me take care of that, or to like sort of like a CBO, right? And I wouldn't mind if it's for free, that I won't have to pay anything. Yeah. So yeah, that's my.
So basically, what I'm hearing from you would be like you like to kind of have like some action agents that can take your insight and go close the loop for you essentially, and say, hey, you know what?
Exactly.
You mentioned this transportation issue. I found a promo code for transportation discount on Uber. Oh, by the way, do you have a community that's giving out a car? Oh, by the way, there's also like a carpool solution you can check into. And they come back with you with those options after doing some further action on your behalf. Like that. McDavid. Oh well, Vanessa dropped off. Tosin and then McDavid.
Okay, I think Abiodun already spoke my mind, right? So just an AI that would be more or less like a partner assistant, right? To be able to do anything I want, create tasks for me, execute it, and get it done. Instead of me manually, going around and all of those things. So something like that would be more interesting. So, and it would be interesting if it's more engaging with the users. So just like Kozim also mentioned earlier. Thank you.
David?
Yeah, personally for me, I need an AI service that acts like an intermediary between I and the doctor. So I don't have to spend more time with the doctor. So most likely the doctor already knows has my information based on my conversation with the AI. So he doesn't need to start asking me about my health history because he already has that from the AI. So if it's kind of linked to the hospital's EHR or hospital's internal EHR, then that will make that spend less time at the hospital.
Interesting. I love that. I really love that. So I guess I imagine a world whereby you're at home, you say, I want to go see a doctor, and then you have this conversation with your AI, and he find you an appointment, and he have the conversation or maybe like a customer service person at the doctor's side to collect this information based on the conversation you have with yourself, with your AI, and they can fill up all the information for the doctor. So when you show up, they already have all the extra information, and then they can just see you or make recommendations for you based on those early conversation. I like that. And I think that's what I love about the context, the LLM, because it can really, especially if it's grounded in truth and your data, it can really have a really open conversation without it's hallucinating, especially if we can get that part right. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So this is good. Just want to kind of, before you close it, I want to kind of like repaint the picture that we see SDOH Lafia as a platform doing, right? So imagine a future whereby I, Adebayo Daudu, I have this Lafia as a conduit, right? And Lafia as a conduit collects all of my data in any way that it is, social media, health, financial, everything in one portal. And I have that conduit help me deploy it in a private infrastructure, my own private self-managed infrastructure. And it gives me the tools to be able to manage that in a very conversational way. Hey, I have new data. You just got new data from you. What do you want us to do with this data? And it puts it within that infrastructure window that is private. And then there's a consent. Hey, Facebook wants permission to your data. This marketing wants permission to data. Can I give them consent? And then you can kind of keep a log of that in a very conversational way, right? Without any other interface plugin and such. That's the future that we see. From a customer's perspective. But then also when it comes to organization like an insurance company, one of the things that we see our SDOH platform being able to do is to help them get their customer to go see a doctor to baseline before it becomes an emergency. Oftentimes people have insurance, they don't even use their insurance at all unless they have an emergency. How do I get you to go see a doctor? Just go see a doctor so we know that you're actually doing okay. And you also know for yourself. So that is an opportunity that we see with our platform to integrate with a lot of medical providers and insurance company to bridge that gap, right? Insurance company already is working provider. We are the conduit in between to say, hey, go and see the doctor for this particular reason, especially when we introduce the scorecard on the platform as well. So we see us playing across different area, and with the agent side of things as well, which we'll talk about another time. How do we now get deeper into how do we leverage agent workflow to create actions? But all these things will be imaginative unless people start using the application, give us some feedback. So we want to hear from people what they think about it. Go out and test it out. I'm sure from you share the link as well. Test it out, give us some feedback. We're still early. We still want to build the right product and not over engineer ultimately, but we can move really, really fast.
Yeah. Thank you, Bayo, for that. So I want to thank you all for this amazing session. I just want to highlight a few points for the benefits of those that will be learning from our experience. So a couple of advice that is coming out from us to you include: one, if you're going to build anything, build lean. You want to lean a lot on your customers, those that are actually going to use the products. You want to get feedback from them and use it to augment your product. Perfection. Run away from perfection, please. And then you want to build to be cost effective. I mean, especially if you're a startup, you do not want costs to become the factor that kills you. So yeah, so those are the things that we have from us to do to you today. We hope that you'll join us in one of our upcoming sessions, probably this year, maybe next year. Whichever time it may be. See you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fumi. I think it's also good to also let the public know that we are also incubating an AI agent product at the moment. That would also allow users people to be able to write an article, search a database, search flights, make outbound calls, and also he's also a medical consultation agent, that connects with a medical consultation agent to receive personalized medical service and guidance. Probably maybe in our next podcast we might be talking about that agent. Just to have this as a closing note.
Love it.
Thank you, cousin.